Synergy patterns. I would know these. When there is recovery, this is typically what happens. And you need to know this. And guess what? I'm going to ask that you know what muscle causes it. Not now, but I will. Okay? Your typical synergy flexor pattern in the upper extremity looks like this. The scapula is elevated and retracted. Okay? This one says humeral abduction and external rotation. You really don't see that a whole lot. You see more of it abducted and internal rotating. Okay? But we'll get there. Elbow flexion, forearm supination, wrist and finger flexion. Why do I have supination with elbow flexion? Thank you very much. Very good. Gold star for change.
What are you saying? You're fine for that.
Bicep is a supinator as well as a flexor.
Right.
So if it's going to flex, it's going to pull that up, right? Okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. Elevate and retract, or deduct, if it makes you feel better, your scapula. Okay, first off, right there, reach for something without moving your shoulder.
You're limited in your range.
Right? Where's it going?
Not far.
And you see how it you kind of, in that position, you kind of go into some internal rotation, not so much the external, but. Okay? And then I'm going here.
Ah, I gotta stop.
It does.
Yeah, I just gotta stop. Stop.
All right. We'll get there with stroke stuff, but this, now when I start working on somebody like so, where am I going to start? Right. Because when it, again, proximal to distal, okay? I've got to have my proximal stability to get distal mobility. But if I'm here, what can I do? What's going to happen in these rhomboids back there? So we're going to do some stuff that I'm going to show you how to work on those and try to stretch those and make them move a little bit more. Okay? Now, the extensor pattern is just the opposite. Okay? Scapular abduction and depression, elbow extension, forearm pronation, and wrist and, usually you're going to see wrist and fingers in flexion. Okay? Here's the cool thing, guys. Think about this. Flexor pattern is most common. I'm not going to say you'll always see it this way, but a lot of times you will. Okay? This occasionally shows up. Why? The coolest thing is, this makes perfect sense as to why you get that in the upper instead of lower. Part of it. What can I possibly do? What can I do with my arm out here? Me. Right? If I can get some elbow motion and extension, heck, if I can learn to actively control this bicep flexion and let gravity do the extension, I can do something. I can wash my face, so this is way more functional in the upper extremity than this would be. And this is where most people land. Okay?
Is the humeral abduction and the external rotation, was that right?
That's technically what the book says. This is what you're going to say. You will see in the book there will be pictures of girls sitting there like this. I've never. It's always right here. Okay. So I go from no motion to reflex motion, associated reactions. Then I'm moving into flexor pattern more often, or extensor pattern, but flexor more often than not. So what I want to do now? Okay, they're in pattern. What do I want to do? I want to move them out of pattern, right? Okay. Work on wrist stability, then we'll get finger motion after that. Then we're going to have selective pattern with overlay, and then you'll get selective motion. That is the pattern of recovery according to Brunstrom. extremity will go through those same types of stages, but the lower extremity will go into extension. So it'll go into extension, internal rotation, knee extension, plantar flexion. So you do this.
Hip extension.
And I'm using hip rather than, okay? But there again, think a minute.
That's still the
That's
first.
functional. Because if this went into a flexor pattern,
Yeah.
I'm a flamingo and that's all I am. Okay? So your lower tends to go into an extension pattern, your upper goes into a flexor pattern. But yes, I know y'all have seen kids with CP or head injuries or strokes. You've seen people with low.
You have to do the hip hike.
Yeah, you gotta do the hip hike and you circumduct your lower extremity because your foot is plantar flexed.
Oh.
And in the extension, there's no, this is what they work on. Okay? Not everyone is going to go through all these stages. Not everyone is going to get full recovery.
Do we need to understand selected patterns with overlay? Because I don't.
All that really means is I may be able to do some stuff outside of pattern volitionally, but if I get, if the fire alarm goes off and I'm having trouble getting out, I'm gonna, okay, or if something's going wrong, you know, place catches on fire. I use that example because that can happen. You're in there doing a cooking eval and everything looks fabulous, you know, and they're moving pretty good, and then something happens and they'll go back into pattern. You're like, oh, okay, so that's all that means. They can easily move out of it, but when they get stressed, they'll come right back in, okay? Now, here it is again. Huh, must be important. Limb synergy, again, tends to be more flexion in the uppers and extension in the lowers, which makes sense. I would, at some point, we'll be talking more about this, I think, in stroke stuff, but I would certainly memorize what this pattern is. And I would certainly try to remember what muscles, major muscles, do that. I don't want every mover, but I would like that primary mover.
He wants to memorize, as the book has it, for the external rotation, the elbow,
Yeah.
or the, don't worry about that piece of it.
Yeah. Motor recovery pattern is what I just talked to you about, but here it is again on table 21.1. Associated reactions we talked about. Okay, all right. I'm putting somebody back to bed. We already know how to do that, right? We put somebody back to bed?
Get in bed.
Yeah. Okay, we can get somebody out of bed. Can we put them back to bed?
In theory.
Okay, all right, I'll go with that. Okay, okay,
You
all
have to
right.
do the opposite
Opposite
of what you did.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Now, if they're laying like so, what do I want to do? Okay. Now, what am I gonna wanna do? We're gonna do some of this, but what do I want with their shoulder? Because this is really important.
You don't want something like that.
And how do I prevent that in the bed? How do you think you might prevent it in the bed?
Supporting it.
With?
Use the pillow.
Put a pillow behind it, okay? Because even though it's not as much pull, it's still, I got gravity pulling on it and it's gonna help pull it down and sublux it. Don't want that. So I'm gonna put a pillow under it, okay? If swelling is an issue, which a lot of times it is because I'm not moving it, okay? I'm gonna take another pillow, make me a little room, prop it up so this hand's up here. Okay, y'all remind me and I'll show you this and we can get Precious back out. Y'all missed a great conversation on Facebook about that, but anyway. If she has sensory problems as well, and I may want her to turn which way? Let's say this is her affected side and she has sensory problems on this side.
you want to turn
I want her to turn two at one.
Oh, turn the sheet.
Because you can use the non-effective sign.
Well, what's here?
Oh, lay her head in her knees.
Some people have such sensory problems, they don't know they have two sides of the body anymore. So I'm getting visual input, but you're right, I'm also laying on that side and getting proprioceptive input. Proprioceptive input does what? And organizes and helps us remember stuff, right?
So you said you want to turn them towards the.
When you say turn,
Or, I mean, you could turn them to the other side as well, but I'm just, that gives them more input. So even look at where the TV is placed in the room. Let's say they've got bad left display. Okay, nothing over here exists. Where would be a great place to put the TV? Where would be a great place for the door to be? When I bring food and stuff in, which side am I gonna approach them from? Are we starting to?
yeah, we had a woman like that this weekend, that even when she ate, you had to feed her.
Oh, yeah.
From the, cause hers was the left side that was affected, so you had to feed her from the right side, and she would pocket everything on the left side. So you would have to sweep and make sure that she
Yep.
wouldn't have all the food left in her
Yep.
mouth. Cause I hadn't seen that before, to
Yeah.
that extent.
You're like, ooh, I know what they're doing.
And the worst part was, every time you would try to move her, the left arm would just get stuck
Right.
under her, and man, that thing went in some funky positions.
Yeah, yeah, because,
Cause it doesn't do anything
It-
except just flops there.
and we take, without meaning to, but we take all that for granted, that you know where your arm's at,
Mhm.
and you'll know if you're beezing it. You've seen them call them
Cause I mean,
wheelchair.
it was like internally rotated, and she was laying on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just like, oh my god.
Does that hurt? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have it on right
Okay. Okay, so we'll talk more about it.
All the stimulation on the side.
What I'm hoping we're starting to see is everything you do can be therapeutic. Okay?
Anything what?
Everything you do can be therapeutic. Putting them in bed, propping them in bed, even if they're taking a nap, turn them to the side so they can get more proprioceptive input. You know, or turn them to the other side if they haven't been on that side in a while. All this, everything you're doing should have a benefit to it. Yeah.
Question about that though, cause last night when we were changing shifts, they were talking, she wanted to lay on her side, and she was trying to get onto that left side,
Mhm.
which was her weak side.
Mhm.
And they said no, because they didn't wanna cut off circulation, so what is